Yeah. And I think she needs to sit, well, wherever she needs to sit, so she can walk. And then, it's always,
Test, test, test. Tal, tals.
Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. 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 Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So glad to have you here with us. Well, and I know that it's a special Shabbat for Maggie because her bat mitzvah tomorrow. She's ushering it in this evening, ushering the Shabbat in this evening, and we're so excited for tomorrow with her, and so excited to see everybody here. So, as you probably know, or maybe you know, there's, we are in the midst of a, well, you know what, I'm going to hold off on, I'll mention this a little bit later when unless you want to try Matir Asurim right now.
Sure.
Cool. So there's a hostage deal, and we are happy to have brought back 3 already, and hopefully 4 more tomorrow. And as I mentioned last week, it's a mixed bag. There's no question about it. Our enthusiasm and excitement to get our hostages back, or slowly but surely, is absolute. But we also know that it comes at a pretty significant price to us. We just hope that these first 3 that came, and then 4 hopefully tomorrow, that it leads to all of our loved ones and our hostages returned. And so I'm just going to light these 2 candles for our hostages, and then after doing so, if you'd like to follow along with the words to Matir Asurim, you can find it on the inside, on the bottom of the prayer page, on the inside cover of the booklet. Matir Asurim, we praise you, Adonai, our God, who frees the captives.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Matir Asurim, Matir Asurim, Baruch atah
All right, so our service continues as we usher in Shabbat with the lighting of the Shabbat candles. And as you probably know, as I mentioned already, that we have a bat mitzvah tomorrow, and she is Maggie, and she is going to become bat mitzvah here at our service at 10 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. And so we invite Maggie to come up with her parents and her brother to assist us in lighting the Shabbat candles. And we're on page 120. Actually, 121.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we. May our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness redeems us, give the generations of Israel who have kindled light. So may we, in our own day, be among those who kindled light.
Blow it out if you want to. That's fine. Here, try this move. Watch this.
Oh.
You're not prepared. You can do it.
We're running out of time here.
All right, blow it out. Nice. That was a near double.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Do not judge the whole match lighting. She's in a booth, okay? No one can be expected to light a match smoothly when you're in a booth. That's common knowledge, okay? So don't worry, we're cool with you. Here, hold this, come closer. We're on page 123 as we continue with the blessing of douche. So we're going to do the first line together. Ready? Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Hold this. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher letziyat mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim. Right here. V'shabbat kodshecha b'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat l'chaim. Take a sip if you want to. So our service continues with elements of Kabbalat Shabbat. This time, or in this case, is Zamru Ladonai. It can be found on page 134 in your Siddur. Let's see here. Yeah, 134.
Zamru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra, v'chatzotzrot v'kol shofar, harim lifnei hamelech Adonai. Zamru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra, v'chatzotzrot v'kol shofar, harim lifnei hamelech Adonai. Yiram hayam umlo, tevel ve'yoshvei ba, neharot imcha uchav yachad, harim yiramenu. Yiram hayam umlo, tevel ve'yoshvei ba, neharot imcha uchav yachad, harim yiramenu. Lifnei Adonai kira, lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel b'tzedek, behamim b'mnei sharim. Yiram hayam umlo, tevel ve'yoshvei ba, neharot imcha uchav yachad, harim yiranenu.
All right, our service continues with Lecha Dodi, the anchor of Kabbalat Shabbat. It's on page 138. And we will be doing, as usual, verse 1, 2, 5, and 9. And when we reach the 9th verse, I'll invite you to rise and face the entrance. We can greet the Sabbath bride, and then after doing that verse, you're welcome to turn back around, and we'll conclude our prayer of Lecha Dodi. But for now, 138, Lecha Dodi.
Berosh mi Shabbat tehila. Olech Adoni, Likrat Kala. B'nei Shabbat Mikavela. Olech Adoni, Likrat Kala. B'nei Shabbat Mikavela.
Verse 5.
Hitoreri, ki vaore umiori, uri, shir daveri, kivod Adonai, alayit niga, olech Adoni, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat mikavela, olech Adoni, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat mikavela.
Verse 9, please rise.
Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'b'tzola, toch emunei am segula, boi kala, olech Adoni, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat mikavela, olech Adoni, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat
Please remain standing. We are on page 146, the Baruch Hu, which is our call to worship.
Adonai, Baruch Adonai, Hamivorach, Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated on 149, top of the page. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way in which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Ma'ariv Aravi. Ahavat Olam, God's everlasting love for us, page 150.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, הקימו משפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
152, please rise.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol lebavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta b'am b'shivtecha b'beitecha ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. 157, standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Mi Chamocha is on the next page, 158.
Mi chamocha Ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha Nedar HaKodesh, Nora Tehilot Oseh Malechutecha Rahu Vanecha Bokei Hayam Lifnei Moshe uMiriam Zeili Anu ve'ameru Adonai לעולם ועד, ונאמר כי פדה אדוני יעקב, וגאלום יד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
All right, the unique song and prayer for Shabbat, speaking about the special qualities of Shabbat, is called Vishamru. It's on page 162.
That's going to be way too low. I'm sorry. That's a bad idea. It's just what happens, you know. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם, ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, והיום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם, ברית עולם.
Our service continues with the tefillah. It begins with Adonai Sifatai Tiftach, which is on page 164. And then we're going to go fast into 166, 168, and 170. I'll try, if I get a little edge in, I can maybe tell you what page we're on. But if not, it's one of the even numbers between 164 and 170. Would everyone please rise?
Ananana sfatai tiftach, ananana ufiagi tehilatecha, ananana Adonai, ananana sfatai tiftach, ananana ufiagi tehilatecha, ananana Adonai, ananana sfatai tiftach, ananana ufiagi tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu Imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak,
Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol Hadibor V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, U'mevii Gula Livnei Bneihem, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב והושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדום אלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל.
170.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. We are on page 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh ha-Shabbat. We continue on page 178 with our evening prayer for peace called Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael, b'chol עת ובכל שעה, לשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Baruch atah Adonai hamevarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom.
So feel free to put your siddur, your prayer book, down for a little bit, because this is the time when we get to just share, have a little bit of, get to connect a little bit. It's our way of building community. can't just build community with the wave of a wand, although I wish I could. Rather, you really have to help foster it and enable it, and the best way to enable it is just kind of knowing a little bit about each other. And so we're going to start by sharing, only if you want to, of course, and if you'd like, please do. If you have joys that you wish to share that have happened recently or somewhat recently, then we'd love to hear it. So all you got to do is raise your hand if you have some joy to share. I'll call on you, and you can tell us a little bit about your joy. Yes. Uh-huh.
No, I take that back. One of my granddaughters.
Well said.
And I wanted to share this.
I'm so glad. Glad to have you here. That's nice joy. Anybody else want to share joy? Dave?
This week I had the joy of speaking with Paul Schatzberg, one of our long-term members who's 96 years old. He moved away closer to family in Virginia Beach, and it was just a joy to be able to talk to him and know that he was doing well and happy in his new surroundings.
So glad to hear. So for the joy of continuing the connection with a cherished person, Paul Schatzberg, and the joy of being able to be here and celebrate a bat mitzvah, for both of those, join me as we utter just some very simple words, Ken Yehi, which is the shortened form of Ken Yehi Ratzon, which is basically may it be God's will, and or may it be. So join me. Ken Yehi, Ken Yehi, Ken Yehi. More joy to share? Yes. Is it about a birthday? No, but you can add that, by the way. Your brother got accepted to UMBC? That's great news. And what? And also your birthday.
Nice.
Well, his birthday was just last week. And 10, double digits. It's a big deal. When you hit double digits, it's a big deal. But let me ask you this question. If your brother is going to UMBC, is he going to be sleeping at UMBC or sleeping at the house? You have no idea. Let's talk about, though, what might be a good thing if he sleeps at UMBC and not at the house. That'd be sad for you. Yeah, I get it. But might there also be some positives? No, just sadness. I love it. I wish that was the type of sibling love that was going on in my house. My house, it's like, good riddance! Now I get to watch whatever TV show I want at any time. Anyway, yes.
I just wanted to piggyback on my mom.
Uh-huh.
But it's amazing to me that my little sister, to see her and her beautiful family celebrating Maggie's bat mitzvah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just so proud of her.
Proud of who?
My sister.
Okay, just making sure.
And my Maggie.
Okay.
But I feel like it's so amazing to see my sister all grown up and like in her own synagogue. And
She's been around for a long time here, by the way. She's one of the older members of the congregation at this point. And she's on the board of trustees. He didn't deserve it. No, Casey's bar mitzvah was when COVID started. We didn't know what we were doing. It was a mess. It was a mess. But we're glad to have you here. We're glad that we got a more normal bar bat mitzvah here. And yeah, we're glad that, the little baby sister of yours has turned out to be an adult. Hard to believe, but she's an adult now. Mazel tov.
I
Yes.
have to thank everyone for being so wonderful, and my family and my son being here. He's grown up.
I was about to say, you want to tell us a little bit about how young he is, too?
But they're such a wonderful family, and they love each other so much. It's showing everywhere, and everyone here also.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for being our
birthdays in both our families today.
Really? Yeah?
Yeah.
I got a birthday, my son's birthday, which it should be my wife's birthday. She was the one who did all the heavy lifting, right? My son just kind of came out and was like, hello. While Hannah was doing all the painful stuff. But my son's, what is he? I think he's 20 years old. He hit the second decade. You hit first decade, he hit second decade. And yours is
My dad.
Your dad.
Yeah.
How old is he?
Math. Not a round number.
Well, happy birthday to both of them. Anybody else want to share joy before we conclude? All right. Baruch atah Adonai, gomel chasadim tovim. We praise you, Adonai, our God, for partnering with us in the various joys that are in our lives. Amen. Along with the joy is a recognition of struggle. Loved ones of ours, or we ourselves, are struggling physically or emotionally, and we have a blessing called Misha Berach, and it's one in which we kind of join our voices together to bring some measure of wholeness to people who are struggling. If you know me, then you know that I do not believe that the words of this prayer will magically bring healing. So just want to make sure that we know that it's not like some sort of concoction that we put the proper words together and then we have healing. Doesn't quite work that way. If you're struggling either physically or emotionally, I recommend seeking out the assistance of a professional, a doctor, a therapist. That's the way for healing. However, all doctors, therapists, everyone would agree that feeling like you're not alone, feeling like you have a community, feeling like you have a support system, these contribute to healing. So when we join together and say the words of Misha Berach together, if I thought that the words themselves were going to bring healing, then we would just skip all the other parts of the service and just repeat these words over and over and over again to make sure that we really got it good. But we don't do it that way. And so I'm going to start the blessing and then give you a chance to share any name you wish, Hebrew or English, of yourself or someone else, of a person who is in need of healing. And hopefully by joining our voices together, it will just add a measure of support or connection or community or wholeness or feeling safe and secure, that it will contribute to healing. So the blessing starts this way. Misha Berach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'Imotenu Sarah Rivka Leah v'Rachel. Those words mean, may the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel, hu yivarech v'yirapet kol hacholim shelanu. May God bless and heal all of our loved ones who are in need of healing, especially the ones whom we name at this time. And so I'm just going to look around, and when my eye meets yours, if you wish to share the name of someone in need of healing, please feel free to do so when my eye meets yours. Say it louder, I didn't hear you. Thank you. Vishlach lehem bimheira refuah shalema. May God send them speedily a complete recovery. Refuat hanefesh v'refuat haguf. Healing of body and healing of spirit, b'toch sha'ar cholei Yisrael, amongst all who are in need of healing. V'nomar amen. And let us say amen. So if you turn to page 381, 81 or 71?
71.
371. 371, you find the words to Misha Berach. Please feel free to join with us.
Misheperach Avoteinu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We pause now for a moment of silence.
Ratson imrefi, vehegyon libi. Yihyul ratson imrefi, vehegyon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri v'gohali, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri v'gohali. Go inside your heart, just be. Go inside your heart and see what it wants, what it needs, what it yearns when you breathe. Go inside your heart and see. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be kind, be true. May they be acceptable to you, O my rock, and my redeemer. Yihyul ratzon imrefi, vehegyon libi. Yihyul ratzon imrefi, vehegyon libi lefanecha.
Gettysburg Address, 271 words. Did not take very long to deliver that. Woodrow Wilson was asked once about how long he would need in preparation to deliver a 5-minute talk. And he said he'll need a week of preparation. And they said, wow, how long would you need in preparation to give a 20-minute talk then? Would it be 4 weeks? He said, nah, probably 2 days. And so then I said, wait a minute, what about if we asked you to give an hour talk? How long would you take in preparation for that? He said, oh, I can do that right now. And it's humorous to some degree, but what it was really saying was that, the shorter, the harder sometimes, right? If you're asked to just, Jill Sussman sometimes makes fun of me because, if she says, can you just speak for just 1 minute? I inevitably end up talking for 10 minutes. And she's like, I really just needed 1 minute, and you did 10, and now we're over, right? And it's because sometimes it's easier to speak longer because you just start rolling, but when you need to keep it tight, it's harder. The Torah portion for this Shabbat, which Maggie knows well, but I am not going to say anything that she's going to talk about tomorrow. But it kind of offers this really interesting, beautiful expression. Just 4 words. Re'eh natati Elohim lefaro. Re'eh means see. Natati, I have placed you, or nataticha, I have placed you. Elohim, as God, lefaro, to Pharaoh. Oh yeah, just in case you're wondering, this week's Torah portion is Va'era, which has to do with the beginning of our people in Egypt and the plagues that happen in Egypt. And this line comes after plague number 1, which truly, and I've thought about this a lot because this is what we're discussing in Torah study right now. But I think that first plague of blood in the water, that was probably enough. Frogs seems kind of fun compared to blood and the water's all blood. I mean, really, I'm cool with having a bunch of frogs just jumping around, and even if it's a lot, I might say like, ooh, these frogs are starting to annoy me, but it's not serving as like an existential threat to me. It's just serving as a little bit, maybe as an annoyance. But after that first plague that basically leaves Pharaoh unaffected, that's when God says, because Moses goes back to God and says, I don't know if this is going to work. And that's when God says, look, I am placing you as a God to Pharaoh. 4 words. Re'eh nataticha Elohim lefaro. And as you can imagine, the commentators, our tradition, struggled with this because for God to say to Moses, I'm making you God, that's a pretty big theological thing, right? And it can be a little unnerving to the classic rabbinic commentators who couldn't bear to think that anyone or anything could be even close to God. So what does Rashi, the famous commentator, have to say? Oh, he says, easy. In fact, I'm willing to bet that Rashi would have said easy peasy lemon squeezy had that been a thing back when Rashi was writing. So Rashi says, oh, easy. He said, it's not that Moses is a god. Rather, Moses is God's agent. So it's kind of like representing God, and so that's why this is what the text was saying was, hey, it's not that I'm making you God, but I'm making you like the representation of God. Fair enough, Rashi usually knows what he's talking about, but he's not the only one who had thoughts about what it means when God says, I'm making you a God for Pharaoh. Because the Midrash says, uses this as an opportunity to talk about just how great God is. Look how great God is. Doesn't even get jealous. Is able just to make anyone, has no insecurities at all. In fact, typically if you want a little insight about the way the Midrash works, typically the Midrash is making some sort of statement about what's going on around them as well. And in this particular case, they were kind of giving a little jab to the Roman leadership that didn't have any room for anyone to be equal to the highest levels. And so they were just kind of making a little jab. But still, I guess what I'm trying to say is that the Midrash tries to explain this strange verse by saying it just proves how great God is. No jealousy whatsoever. So then, this third commentator named Malbim, you will not be tested on who said what. So Malbim says, well, the reason why God said Moses was going to be a god to Pharaoh was because God was trying to even the playing field. What does that mean? Well, as you probably know, pharaohs thought of themselves as gods. And so if you have one who believes himself to be God and the other person who comes and confronts that person who believes himself to be God, well, it's not a fair fight unless that person who confronts him has been deputized as God. So Malbim says, oh, no, that's basically what God's doing, is trying to simply even the playing field. But of course, there is one more commentator which I want to share with you, and this is the one which I like the best. And that is Sforno, who said that when God was talking to Moses and said, I'm placing you as God before Pharaoh, at that moment, God looked into Moses' eyes and saw godliness inside of it. And what Sforno is trying to say, which I believe is the most beautiful interpretation of them all, is that God was even able to see the divine in another human being and was able to identify it and describe him that way. And I think that seems to be kind of like a very meaningful message for us now, all the time, but especially now. I mean, just recently I've just recently started to kind of do Instagram. Like I resisted Instagram forever. And I may be the last person, and then I realized, oh, you can kind of watch a video that's fun and then flip, and then look, there's another video which is just as good as the last one. And then next thing you know, it's about an hour later, and all I've done is watch videos. And this is the reason all along why I didn't involve myself in Instagram, but it's okay. So, and I saw one recently which was talking about, like, here are, 20 signs that the world is a much better place than you think it is. And it went on to just show 20 different cute things about, this person who helped that person, or just 20 just good stories in the news. Or just 20 good stories, not in the news, of just human beings. And the reason why I bring it up is because I think that we all feel that there's just a lot of bad stuff going on. And I think, whether it's in geopolitical or whether it's in our own country, whether we are worried about the future, whether we are uncertain about the future, whether we don't know. But I think that the first step to feeling a little bit more settled in the world that we live in is, instead of seeing everybody in this world as either an ally or an adversary, but to take the message of this Torah portion and to see that in everybody's eyes, there is godliness, there is holiness. And so if you don't agree with somebody, it doesn't mean that that person is a bad person. And if you don't agree with a politician, it doesn't mean that a politician is all bad. And if you don't agree with a nation, then it's okay. That doesn't make that there is godliness in each person. And even if we don't necessarily find ourselves in lockstep, we can at least acknowledge that person is not an altogether bad human being. And I think that that's where we are right now. We're in such a negative place, seeing people as, like I said, either allies or adversaries, no room in between. And our world and our country and our world has a lot of healing to do. I mean, I am not even close to healed from what's happening in Israel right now. And I know that others are feeling a sense of, and to some degree me as well, feeling a sense of brokenness within our country. No, to a large degree I feel brokenness in our country. And I think the first step to a little bit of wholeness is to eliminate that part of you which sees others as either all good or all bad. And it allows and enables room for there to be some sort of middle with a recognition of holiness. And so the Torah portion is wise, or at least our commentators are, when they realize that there can be some real value and truth, even when using an expression which is so provocative, as if to think that God might have another God alongside. We know that there's more to it than that, and I think the message is becoming clearer and clearer. So I hope that we can take that message and apply it to what's happening in our lives, and if we do, then we're taking ourselves one step closer to a sense of true godliness ourselves. So thank you for listening, and we continue on page 586 with Aleinu. 586, and when you get there, I invite you to please rise. Please be seated. Our tradition, relatively new tradition, but not completely new. We're trying to create an environment in which there is a recognition of loved ones who are mourners. And in our tradition, not our synagogue's tradition, but our Jewish tradition, this was a very significant and important piece, which was identifying a person who was a mourner and seeing them and being with them. And so our synagogue tradition is that in a moment I will begin by sharing names of loved ones who have passed away. I'll begin by telling you a handful of names of people who have passed away recently, the last 30 days. If you hear your loved one's name mentioned and you wish to be identified as a mourner, I invite you to stand. After I read these initial names, I'll then read the names of loved ones whose yahrzeits occur on the Shabbat, the anniversary of their passing. Again, if you hear your loved one's name and wish to stand when you hear it, please do. At the conclusion, I'll invite all who wish to rise for this prayer, either because it's your tradition or in support. I'll invite you to do so. We'll recite the words of the Kaddish together. So let me share with you the names of loved ones who have passed away. Again, if you hear your loved one's name mentioned, please rise. We remember Theda Bornstein, a loved one of Howard Savage. Joe Basso, father of Jill Schechter. Stanley Block, father of Carly Knott. Paul Mathis, the brother of Pat Sikora. And Gene Sprain, the father of Amanda Sprain. And we also remember these loved ones whose yard sites occur on this Shabbat. We remember lovingly Roe Berman, Joshua Butsky, Deborah Hilburn, Tilly Panman, Charles Gordon, Linda Lafferman, James Traver, Albert Cohen, Carol Guy, Gerard Pyan, Olga Domich-Viola, Albert Hoffman, Celia Schatzberg, Meyer Gelber, Selig Keats, Hillard Donner, Gary DeWaskin, Bess Keats, Molly Rose Levin, Robert Barenboim, Paul Chatlin, Pauline Filer, Deborah Meisenberg, Albert Lapache, Herb Abeles, Harry Davis, Alfonso Viola, Deanna Stelzer, and Bernard Pollock. And so at this time, I invite anyone else who wishes to rise and support, or because it's your tradition to do so. And in gratitude for the lives of those who I mentioned and all who we remember them with the words of our mourner's prayer, which is the Kaddish. It's on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah b'yalma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechal beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam mei almaya yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha b'richu Lamin kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, da'amiram bi'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to every bereaved heart. Amen. Please be seated. All right. Well, our service is coming to a conclusion. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you so much to Dana Feldman for serving as an usher this evening. Thank you to Amanda and Mike Schneider, along with Pat and Bob Sikora, for sponsoring the Oneg Shabbat. A handful of announcements worthy of mentioning. Number one, tax statements have been emailed, just in case, if you've made contributions to the temple, and check your email for that. But if you'd like a hard copy, we can certainly do that for you as well. I mentioned Maggie's bat mitzvah tomorrow, 10 a.m. All are welcome to come to the service, or you can even watch on the stream if you want to. Maggie even specifically asked if people could just tune in and tell your friends and watch, because she's very interested in having as many people watching as possible. We have a speaker on Sunday in observance of International Holocaust Day, Felicia Liban, a survivor herself. She'll be speaking at the temple on Sunday at 10 a.m. My Torah study resumes on Monday. No prior experience necessary. My Sages class, I'm pretty sure meets on Tuesday night as well. No prior experience. No, never mind. My Sages class is not meeting. I'm now realizing because we have a La Posta Pizzeria fundraiser all day on Tuesday from 12 to 8. Just join us for dinner night out. It's you have to pick up a flyer kind of acknowledging that this is what it's for, and they will make a very generous donation to the temple for all of the food and drinks that were purchased. Anything else you're wondering about, just check out the temple's website, or better than that, the weekly email has everything you possibly could need to know about what's going on here at the temple or outside of the temple, so make sure that you are on our email distribution list. Whew, said plenty. Before we conclude with Adon Olam, and that is on page 625, we want to do Motzi. And so I'd like to invite Maggie and brother and parents to join us one more time here at the Bima for the honor of leading us in the Motzi. Adon Olam 625.
Adon Olam Hashem halach b'terem ko yitzir nivra le'nasa v'chefso kol azay melech shemo nikra v'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora v'hu haya Tifara Adon Olam Hashem malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra le'nasa v'chefso kol azay melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora v'hu Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, u'mevorach. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, u'mevorach.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Join us in the lobby for an Oneg Shabbat. Thanks so much for being here. And to those of you who are watching on our stream, Shabbat Shalom to you as well. Maybe we'll see you in person next time, unless you are far, far away, like Boston or New Orleans or Colorado or Florida. Then maybe harder to see you next time, but we look forward to seeing you. So Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. touche. Let's see. Can you see up here? So this is, right now we're live. So we're broadcasting on YouTube and on our website and on others. And that's what you see. That's what people see. So sometimes I put the prayers up, and like I can push this button and I can go in every direction, and that's what's showing over here. But I can also switch. Let's see how it says rear, go side, and then I just change the camera right over there. See on right up there, and then the other one's right up there. So I go back to